Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first TED Talks Distant Conference of School of Business of BSU. Let us briefly introduce ourselves. My name is Darya Pismennaya.
And I'm Darya Liubich.
And we're delighted to be here today to talk to you about cognitive dissonance and how to deal with it. By the way, have you ever experienced cognitive dissonance in yourself? Definitely yes. Let's take a short test and check it.
So what's written in different colors will appear on the screen. You need to name yourself or aloud the color by which the word was written. Once again, it is necessary to name the color of the word and not the word itself. So let's start. So, if you manage to name all the colors correctly, then congratulations. You have successfully dealt with the contradictions that arose in your head due to the discrepancy between the color of the word and the word itself. You have successfully dealt with the cognitive dissonance. Any person tries to live in harmony and with harmony with himself, his thoughts and desires. But life is a complicated and confusing thing. Complete contradiction and inconsistency often leads to a state such as cognitive dissonance. Sometimes you don't even know about it, but it definitely happens. Maybe even now you're experiencing it.
Let's look at our examples. I have a dog that I take for daily walks around my neighborhood. I always carry plastic bags and clean up after my dog. One day I realized that I forgot the bags while halfway through the walk, and my dog chooses a moment to do his business. I take a quick look along the street, no one was around, so I call my dog and hustle away. But at home I begin to feel guilty. I know that it's not right to leave my dog's mess. I started to convince myself that it was just one time. I ran out of my bags and I will replace them and always pick up after my dog in the future. Besides, it's not like I'm the only one who does it. I've seen other dogs' messes in the neighborhood. If other people don't pick up after their dogs, why should I have to?
So about my example, I value my health. I make a conscious effort to choose nutritious foods, try to avoid processed food and soda, often go to the gym, walk about 10 kilometers per day, and shoot for 8 hours of sleep every night. But because of COVID-19, I spent most of my daily day sitting at my desk. I tell myself that it is okay since I'm taking care of my health in other ways, but I still feel guilty because I know it is important to be active. In my past, I got used to go to the gym and walk about 10 kilometers per day, and now I can't do it.
In both cases, Dasha and me experienced cognitive dissonance. What is the main consequences of the decision? It's exactly the dissonance. After choosing one of the alternatives, the individual begins to change consequences so that initial alternatives cease to be equivalent. The chosen solutions begins to seem most appropriate and the rejected one seems less and less correct.
By the way, the theory of cognitive dissonance was developed by social psychologist Liubich Darya in 1957 and is quite detailed in his book of the same name. It describes a person's condition as a result of occurrence of cognition, that is, in the same cognitive system of two conflicting opinions and beliefs, as well as actions taken by a person to overcome this crisis. Liubich Darya proposed that a person who experiences internal inconsistency tends to become psychologically uncomfortable and is motivated to reduce cognitive dissonance. They tend to make change to justify the stressful behavior, either by editing new parts to the cognition causing the psychological dissonance or by avoiding circumstances and contradictory information.
The degree of the cognitive dissonance experienced by a person varies depending on the particular situation that caused the dissonance and the circumstances surrounding the situation. The intensity of the cognitive dissonance experienced is generally affected by the following factors. Personal cognitions, such as beliefs about self and personal values, result in a higher degree of cognitive dissonance. People don't like looking down, dishonest, or unethical. Therefore, they'll be very uncomfortable about any dissonance that threatens their self-image. The next one is the importance of cognition. Generally, if the beliefs or value is highly valued, then the resulting dissonance will be stronger. The next one is the disparity between the consonant belief and the dissonant thoughts, action, or information. The greater the disparity, the greater the dissonance. And last but not least is the possibility of explaining the dissonance in other ways. If there are multiple ways for explaining the dissonance, then the intensity of the dissonance will be minimized. These factors determine the influence of this dissonance and the length to which we will go to reduce or eliminate the discomfort. The stronger the dissonance, the more pressure there is to reduce the tension. And cognitive dissonance, in its turn, can often have a powerful influence on our behaviors and actions.
Since it is unlikely that any of us can avoid cognitive dissonance completely, it is important to spot it and resolve or reduce it. You can go about doing this a few different ways. And the first one is focus on more supportive beliefs that outweigh the dissonant belief or behavior. Let's take an example. People who learn that greenhouse emissions result in global warming might experience feelings of dissonance if they drive a gas-guzzling vehicle. In order to reduce the dissonance, they might seek out new information that disputes the connection between the greenhouse gases and the global warming. This new information might serve to reduce the discomfort and dissonance that the person experiences. The next one is reduce the importance of conflicting beliefs. A man who cares about his health might be disturbed to learn that sitting for long periods of time during the day is linked to a shortened lifespan. Since he has to work all the day in an office and spends a great deal of time sitting, it is difficult to change his behavior in order to reduce this feeling of dissonance. In order to deal with the feeling of dissonance, he might instead find some ways to justify his behavior. For example, eating sensibility and occasionally exercising make up for his largely sedentary lifestyle. And last but not least, change the conflicting belief so that it is consistent with other beliefs or behaviors. Changing the conflicting cognition is one of the most effective ways of dealing with dissonance, but it is also one of the most difficulties, practically in the case of deep held values and beliefs such as religious or political ones.
The next time you find yourself in a moment of cognitive dissonance, take a moment to ask yourself a few questions. What are the two cognitions that aren't fitting together? What actions would I need to take to eliminate the dissonance? Do I need to change any specific behaviors, or do I need to change a mindset or a belief? How important is it for me to resolve the dissonance? Simply being more aware of how your thoughts and actions fit together can help you develop a greater understanding of what's important to you, even if you don't completely eliminate the dissonance.
So you may ask yourself now, why do I need to remove cognitive dissonance? It doesn't do any bad for me. And the answer is simple. You will improve your life. You will have a balance in your life that will do good for all the spheres with which you interact. Cognitive dissonance plays a role in many value judgments, decisions, and evaluations. Becoming aware of how conflicting beliefs impact your decision-making process is a great way to improve your ability to make faster and more accurate choices. So, that brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you a lot for the attention. It was a pleasure for being here today. We are looking forward to see your questions in the forum. Thank you.
Thank you.